Hi, and welcome to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I am your host, Eric Knowles, but before we get started, a word from one of our supporters.
Miami-Dade College has career paths in anything you want to be. What's your story? Be global. Be cutting edge. Be inventive. Be investigative. Be a hero. What do you want to be? Be the best. Be you. Be MDC.
Welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. Yes, I'm your host, and you already know I'm excited. As I said, excited about growing small businesses, black business, brown businesses, women-owned businesses here in Miami-Dade County, here in South Florida, because some of our businesses are located in Palm Beach, some are located in Broward, and some may even be located down in the Keys. So I'm excited about today. We have the proprietor, the owner of FifthWeapon, Mr. Roop Sood. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing great.
Good.
And first of all, I'd like for you to tell folks a little bit about yourself before we get into the business of everything. So let folks know, who is Roop?
Okay. Roop. I am from London, UK originally. I moved to Miami 4 years ago.
Okay.
I am a business owner. I've been running a marketing and advertising agency since 2016 from London. I brought it over to the United States. I settled on Miami because it felt like the most easiest place to do business when I came to the United States in terms of as I was moving around different places. I'd spent a part of my 20s in LA. My background is as a creative director for agencies like Saatchi & Saatchi, Ogilvy.
Know a little bit about that, heard about them.
Nice.
That's one of the biggest marketing / advertising agencies.
They are. I used to work on the Ford account, Ogilvy, and then Samsung, Rolex, McLaren, Burberry. So I've done some fairly high-profile campaigns.
All right.
So my whole rationale behind my company, FifthWeapon, was essentially to bring that billion-dollar branding expertise and marketing expertise to businesses in the $1 to $10 million range, because I saw an opportunity as digital basically became more developed, let's say around about 2012 onwards to 2016. I saw an opportunity to bring that data analysis on the marketing side to business owners in that range. And so that's what I did. And we set up in 2016 in London. We started off with clients in Europe, and from there it grew where clients were contacting us in the United States, and it became very obvious to me around about 2019 that I had to come to America. And so at that point I went to LA, I went to Dallas, I went to New York, and I stopped off in Miami on the way home. And so and I had a couple of friends here who had come out here in 2009 to do business, and they've been doing pretty well. And they showcased Miami to me, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, Miami's really...
Pretty sexy, huh?
Yeah. It was just easy.
And you just took the words out of my mouth. Pretty easy to get around.
Yes.
For the most part.
For the most part, yes.
I know you mentioned L.A. Obviously, L.A. is, Mecca, obviously, for the film industry and branding of a lot of different things. Houston, New York, obviously New York is the marketing capital of the world for the most part. Yeah. But then when you come to Miami, as you said, Miami, even from the perspective of newcomers, we're welcoming. We're not, keeping the doors closed. I think we open the doors pretty easy here in Miami.
Yeah, I really did feel that from the beginning. I felt like culturally, people in Miami were more open to. They were solution orientated rather than being problem focused.
Right.
Which I felt, like some of the big metropolises, you kind of get that attitude.
And I think maybe a part of that is from a lot of us a lot of people are from someplace else.
Yep.
Transplants that have come here to see the opportunities. So that does open the door. I mean, marketing and branding.
Yep.
I mean, if you are in business, as I always say, you have to have the back of your house together. And you talk about accounting. You talk about having the right accounting. What are the pieces I'm looking for? Accounting, your marketing, your public relations, your business, the way it's set up, your legal setup, and then there's a couple more. But obviously, people have to know who you are.
Absolutely. Marketing is really the front line of any business. That's what whenever I onboard a client or I speak to a prospect or even just general advice, I always tell them that, marketing is very important to a business, but and you can market and you can get business for the first 3, 6, maybe even a year. But if your service delivery is not on point, then you're going to struggle to maintain that, because people often think that marketing ends at the sale. It doesn't.
No.
You've got retention marketing is very important. Marketing ends when your customer becomes a raving fan and is spreading the word for you without you having to spend any money, right? So those are very important things to get in place. So service delivery, operations obviously is important. But yes, you're correct to say that marketing is the front line of any business, and it is also the flip side of sales, because what a lot of people don't understand about marketing is that what you're doing in marketing is you're really confronting sales objections, and you're preparing the prospect, whatever it may be, whether it be for an attorney or whether it may be if you're selling a simple hair product. You're answering their questions in the marketing that they might have, their objections that they might have about that product or service in the marketing. So it's meeting the customer, the prospect, at a much earlier stage, and basically presenting you as the best, most viable option for them.
Absolutely.
And then you've got to make sure that you deliver on that promise.
Oh, you got to deliver.
So
absolutely, because then you're not coming back.
Yeah, correct.
And usually it's the folks that don't come back aren't saying anything to you.
Correct.
And you don't know what the problem was.
Absolutely.
And you started, as you said, you came to Miami and started the business in 2019. So that's right.
Tail end of 2018, actually, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2018, 2019, and then 2020 happens.
Correct.
So talk about that period of time, the couple of years.
Well, that was very interesting for my business, because what it did, because we're pretty much exclusively focused on the digital space.
Right.
And so what it did was it basically accelerated the forecast growth for digital and e-commerce, and from like 20, the sort of targets they were looking at, the growth that they were looking at up to 2029 suddenly happened in the space of like a year. And,
right.
And so we actually grew as a business during the pandemic.
I saw a lot of, and that was the thing that happened during the pandemic. The businesses that were ready,
correct,
and had the right, what would I call it, mojo. They, to your point, accelerated. Marketing companies, because people had to get information out. Mm-hmm. They couldn't necessarily be out in the world, but they still had to survive.
Correct.
And so when you had the expertise, when you had the ability, and being, to your point about digital, everything basically, let's talk about that, the digital world. Mm-hmm. Here we are in 2024, going into 2025 actually, and what's the next couple of years look like? Actually, before you go there, we're going to take a little break. I didn't realize our time is, we're there.
Sure.
And so we're going to take a little break. We're going to hear from one of our supporters, and we'll be right back.
Learn and earn today at Miami-Dade College. College graduates earn 56% more than high school graduates and $1 million more in lifetime earnings. A degree from MDC is your path to greater earning power and career success. Choose from hundreds of affordable high-tech and in-demand career programs, including cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, business, and nursing. Learn and earn today at MDC and fast track your career. Enroll now at mdc.edu/purpose.
I'm back, and I'm here with Mr. Pronounce your name. I don't want to mess it up.
Roop Sood.
Roop Sood. That's a very interesting name. What's the background?
It's North Indian origin.
Okay.
Sikh, Punjabi. My grandfather was from North India, and when India and when Pakistan came into being in 1947, my grandfather was the wrong religion on the one side of the border. He became a refugee. He went to India. He was there for maybe 3 years, and then he got a job in Kenya. And so my father and his brothers, they grew up in Kenya.
Okay.
And then from that, because it was all linked to the British Empire.
Right.
So they ended up in UK and London in the 50s. And
Okay.
and that's our journey basically into
Right.
Yeah.
So we were talking about where is marketing from a digital perspective going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, AI is obviously
AI.
Very much
Here we go again.
in-
That word, AI. Yeah.
Yeah, so artificial intelligence, large language models. The delivery mechanism is obviously getting faster, more efficient, but the principles remain the same.
Right.
The principles have always remained the same. It's really marketing. The best marketers focus on psychographics. They focus on, why a prospect might desire or need a particular solution, product, service. And then so you have to, and it's the messaging which resonates. So what AI is doing is essentially making everything a lot more efficient in terms of, in terms of production, in terms of distribution. And delivery of messaging. So, but you have to be aware of it, and you have to get involved with it as soon as possible, because if you don't, other businesses are going to speed up much quicker beyond you, and they're going to be gone far in the distance, and you're going to be left behind if you don't start optimizing your businesses for AI. Not just on the marketing side, on the operation side as well.
Right.
And so,
speaking about the operation side, I was just in the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau's annual board meeting, and one of the hotels was talking about their whole customer connection is through AI now. I mean, it's so advanced, to your point, that if I ask a question, it has the ability to respond.
Yep.
And it has the ability to ask you a question so that you can respond.
Yep.
And, we talk about the fact that technology is displacing human beings to a certain degree. But if you look at history, and I mean, if you go back, and we talk about farming, when farming was really the industry of the U.S. to a certain degree, and you had a horse and plow. Or before you had a horse, you were out there plowing by yourself, and then you got the tractors, then you got automated tractors, so on and so forth. So basically, technology has been forever advancing how we are doing the things that we do. And the other point where I wanted to go is social media. If you're in business and you're not engaged in social media, talk about that.
So the phone today is very much like the TV in the 50s or the 60s. It's 70s onwards, and so it's an opportunity to reach your prospect at every, at least 27 times a day.
Right.
The amount of times people pick up their phone, right?
Right.
So and if you're not spreading your message on social media, on the phone, in your local market or your national market, whatever your market may be, then you're not getting your customer to know, like, and trust you. And that's the most important thing, as any salesperson will know, that your prospect has to know and like and trust you. And so that's the messaging that you need to focus on, social media and in your marketing in general. And social media is essentially a distribution platform.
Right.
It's a way to distribute your message, and that's the way to think of it. And so you don't necessarily need to get involved with all the the trends and the dances, etc. I know a lot of business owners think that they have to do that. You don't necessarily need to do that unless you're building a personal brand around your business as well,
right.
And that's possible. But there are many businesses who are using it with paid advertising to basically drive traffic and drive customers to whether it be their website or whether it be to a phone consultation, whatever it may be. You just have to dial in the economics of it and reverse engineer. You have to understand what your average order value is in terms of the client that you're bringing in or customer that you're bringing in. And then from there, reverse engineer to how many visitors you need and what sort of conversion rate you have on those visitors to turn them into sales calls. And then from there, reverse engineer to, well, how much is it going to cost me to spend money on social media to bring that many visitors to my website? And so a lot of people, they're afraid of getting involved in social media because they don't totally understand it. But it's actually not that difficult, to be honest with you.
Right.
So,
and I mean, you talk about influencers, and that's a whole nother...
Yes, correct. You just have to have the right strategy in place.
Right.
And, the key thing, like I said, I'm going to come back to it, is psychographics. You've got to focus on messaging. And once your messaging is dialed in, then it's just a question of distribution. Now, you can do organic distribution on social media, or you could do paid ad distribution on social media.
Right.
So,
it's interesting when you talk about social media, and whether it's LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has changed their whole methodology of how they're connecting, because I guess they were a little static, a little stiff, and now they have different mechanisms similar to whether it's Facebook or whether it's Instagram and so forth, giving those folks who aren't necessarily strictly business the opportunity to engage. But the one thing that I find interesting is you could be talking about something and then all of a sudden it pops up on your phone.
Yeah, that's with all the advertising platforms, right? Social media platforms. I guess that's within the TOS somewhere. Like they're obviously listening to the calls.
Right. Big Brother is listening.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
You can go to FifthWeapon.com.
How did you come up with that name?
Fifth Weapon. It's actually a story that my grandfather used to tell me. Prince Five Weapons. He used to, apparently a reputed warrior from Japan who essentially thought he was the most fearsome warrior in the world, and but there was a monster in the forest, so he went to fight the monster. He had 5 weapons, and he couldn't defeat him with his first 4 weapons, and he had to. I'm cutting the story short.
Right.
And he defeated him with his last weapon, which was his intelligence. And because we do intelligence in marketing, and a form of business intelligence, I decided to call it Fifth Weapon.
Oh, I like that. So how can someone get in touch with Fifth Weapon?
So FifthWeapon.com, that's FIFTHWEAPON.com, or at Fifth Weapon on all the social media handles.
Okay. So there you have it. Roop
Sood.
Yeah. Roop Sood with Fifth Weapon. And if you want to know more about the Chamber, m-dcc.org. I had to get used to leaving the www out. m-dcc.org, or reach us at 305-751-8648. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber Member Connection. I'm here with Roop Sood with Fifth Weapon.